Welcome, everyone, to Ocean City, Maryland on Groundhog's Day. Now, most folks have certainly heard of Puxatawny Phil, but not as many people may have heard of Ocean City's legendary red fox, Sinepuxent Sal. It all started back in the Depression, when Sal was living on what is now Assateague Island. Sal was thirsty one day, and he drank from which, unknown to him beforehand, was an eternal spring. Then, in August of 1933, 3 years after he became immortal, he knew that a powerful storm was coming, and he trotted a few miles north on the island to higher ground. This storm was, of course, the great hurricane of 1933 that created the inlet, and then Sal was forever destined to live on now what is Ocean City, Maryland. In December of 1934, Sal came up with an idea, and he contacted Puxatawny Phil, who had been forecasting the late winter weather since 1887. Sal and Phil communicated on the Mammalian Communication Network, commonly known as MAMNet. This telepathic network is compatible with all species of mammal cortexes, and in fact humans often tap into this information highway unknowingly when they feel the emotions and needs of their pets, such as cats and dogs. Anyway, Sal asked Phil if he could start making his own February long-range forecasts for the Maryland coast, since just because Western PA might be expecting 6 more weeks of winter, that didn't necessarily mean that the Maryland coast couldn't expect an early spring. Phil thought this was a great idea, but with one caveat, that Sal would have to still call it Groundhog's Day and not Red Fox Day, because he owned the copyright. Sal thought this was fair enough, and their contract was settled, with Sal making his first prognostication on February 2nd, 1935. Sal moved his burrow to 65th Street here at Foxtrot Crest in 1991, when the Army Corps of Engineers first constructed Ocean City's dune system, and has been conducting his annual meteorological prophesizing at this location ever since. Sal's method is to use the direction of his prints as his soothsaying weather calling card near the 65th Street dune sign that says, "Leave only your footprints." If Sal's fox prints are heading north, then he is predicting an early spring, and if the tracks are heading south, then it means 6 more weeks of winter. Puxatawny Phil makes his yearly forecast on Gobbler's Knob and transmits his prediction through a series of body language gestures with his keepers. But Sinepuxent Sal doesn't like being handled, and instead leaves his footprints in the sand that, after years of careful observations, eventually were decoded. This year, Puxatawny Phil and Sinepuxent Sal have predicted an early spring for both Western PA and the Maryland shore. And here, you can clearly see his fox prints heading north. Thanks for joining us, and the next time you're in OC, stop by the 65th Street Dunes and look for his legendary tracks.